All right, everyone, we have the legendary Dave Ramsey on the show today. It's an honor to have you, sir.
Well, I'm honored to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you know, we've had some great PragerU presenters from the Ramsey Network, the Ramsey family. We had Rachel Cruz. You know, her video has over 3 million views on PragerU. We got to do something with you, too.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad Rachel did well.
Yeah, no, it's all been very successful. Now, you have a new book coming out, Baby Steps Millionaires. Tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, I really hadn't done a major trade book in about 8 years and didn't have an intention of doing another one, but I kept running into a couple of things that, well, they just correlated and told me I needed to do it at this time. One was I kept hearing all this drumbeat in the marketplace from people that with a political agenda or some kind of socialist agenda or whatever it is, explaining to people that, you know, that the American dream is dead. The chances of getting ahead and building wealth and being financially successful in America is over. You can't do it now. The only way to have money is inherit money. And I knew that to be a lie. And I knew these people were out there just stealing people's hope. Hope stealers. I don't care for hope stealers because we're in the hope business. And so, and the other piece was I knew it was wrong because I kept running into, after 30 years of teaching people to get out of debt so that they could be generous, so that they could build wealth, I kept running into these people who had followed our baby steps and become millionaires. And there's like tens of thousands of them because we've had millions of people go through our classes and millions of people on the radio, millions of books sold, all that kind of stuff. So there's easily tens of thousands of millionaires out there. So I knew we had the proof that these hope stealers were wrong. And so that's really what the book is. It's all the evidence from 30 years of experience, from an airtight study of 10,000 millionaires, from lots of wonderful stories of people who really did it, to show that, yes, while America's got our troubles, while we got things we got to overcome, and success is never easy, it is very doable today to become a millionaire.
Yeah, I'd like to talk more about that. I mean, I know as someone who I work in the more political, cultural world, and I see what's happening with the economy and, you know, price of education is going up, price of housing is going up, healthcare, all these things are going up. And when you see all of that happening, do you still think that the American dream is alive for most people?
Yes, it is. Because here's the thing. One element of all of that inflation is the cost of wages, the cost of employees, and it enters into the cost of goods sold and drives the prices up. We've got 1,100 folks working here at Ramsey, and what it takes to hire a developer, a senior level developer, is substantially different than what it was 3 years ago. And guess what? That cost then is built into the things that we sell, which drove those prices up. Has to be. But the developer's making money. More money than she's ever made in their life. And so, you know, the wages are correlating with it for the people that choose to enter fields that where they can do that. Now, certainly you can manage to fail in America. It's possible. But if you will ride some of the waves of some of the wonderful things happening right now in our economy, you can make more money than you've ever made in your life.
And what is the number one piece of advice that you tell people, say, hey, if you want to be a millionaire or you want to make it in America, what do you tell people as the first step? What is the first baby step?
Well, the 7 baby steps are what we've taught forever. That's not really new material for us, but the book is more about showing exactly how they work. Baby step 1 is $1,000 in the bank. Quickly do that. 2 is get all your debt paid off except your house. We use the debt snowball to do that. You probably heard that. List them smallest to largest. Because if you get rid of your non-mortgage payments in most households, that's $1,400 a month, $1,200 a month, somewhere right in there. If you invest that in your 401k, that alone eventually will make you a millionaire. I mean, that's $15,000 a year, and that will turn into some serious money if you invest that over time. So you get out of debt because that's your most powerful wealth building tool. Then you finish your emergency fund as baby step 3. Baby step 4 is really where the millionaire stuff starts happening. You start putting 15% of your income after you've done these other things. You've got some money, 15% of your income into retirement, 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, good growth stock mutual funds. And then kids' college is baby step 5, and 6 is pay off the house early. When we studied all of these millionaires, it was 10,000 of them in the largest study of millionaires ever done in North America. We discovered the typical millionaire in their first $1 to $5 million worth of wealth typically amounts to a really nice paid-for house, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 paid for house, some cases more, some cases less, but right in there, and somewhere around $1 million in their 401ks and in their retirement mutual funds. And they did that over 12 to 17 years. So the biggest advice I've got is get in a system, get in a proven process, and don't fall prey to all the get rich quick that's going on out there, particularly right now. A whole new wave of get rich quick has come through. And just getting a steady, and you have a very high probability of building wealth then.
Yeah, and I really agree with you. I think that people have to be able to take control of their own lives, take control of their own finances to make something happen. One thing that I've seen is, baby boomers at about the age of 35, they own 21% of the nation's wealth. Millennials right now at about that same age only own 3% of the nation's wealth. Why do you see that this is happening, or do you think that there's a cultural problem when it comes to younger people in this country with money, or what are you seeing as the biggest problems facing young people financially today?
Well, I think that the millennial numbers are weird because the millennial generation it's so bifurcated. I've got a whole bunch of millennials on our team, and I love this generation. It's an incredible generation. But by bifurcated, I mean this. There is no middle ground with millennials. There's only two kinds, awesome and sucks. I mean, it's like they're useless or they will chase down the gates of hell with a water pistol. And so what you'll probably find if you drilled down into that stat is that a certain portion of millennials have unbelievable wealth, way ahead of the game, and a certain portion are almost nothing. So it's not a cultural breakdown or a generational breakdown, or we've got a whole generation that forgot how to be smart. It's just this bifurcation in that particular generation, which I think makes them incredible. Again, we love having them on the team because they're very, very passionate, and they do build wealth. I mean, I had a millennial yesterday, 32 years old, paid off their home, and their net worth is a little over $1 million.
That's incredible. What are some of the success stories that you've seen? Do you have any off the top of your head that you're like, this blew me away, something to give people who might be watching this and saying, well, maybe it worked for someone, but it won't work for me? Do you have any success stories that you can list off?
After doing this for so long, we've met someone of every possible situation or demographic that has done it. And so racism is real. Sexism is real. But I meet people who overcome both of them all the time and become successful financially and in other areas of their life anyway. And so, everybody's got some kind of deck that is stacked against them one way or another. And the one thing all of these people that I meet have in common, whether they're, regardless of their race, their background, their religion, where they're coming from, is they have this, I have the ability to look past the stacked deck and go, I'm going to win anyway. I'm going to figure out a way. Jackie comes to mind. She's in the story. African-American lady, just precious. Oh, she is a neat woman. And she grew up in poverty. I mean, really bad situation, and vowed that, she was never going to be hungry again and never be with only one pair of shoes again. And went to school, went deeply in debt to go get her degree, got married, and started in a middle-class lifestyle with a bunch of student loan debt and a bunch of other debt. And that marriage ended in divorce, and she finds herself as a single mom right back in subsidized housing, right back on welfare. And she's like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And she made her decision that day, I'm going to learn how to step by step get out of this mess. And we meet her in the book many years later, and now she's a millionaire, and now she's raised 2 kids, gotten remarried, and has just a wonderful life. But, she overcame being a single mom, lady, African-American. I mean, she had everything going against her. And with a background that didn't have anything to do with money, and a background that no reason she should think she could win, and went and did it anyway. And those are just wonderful people. They're so fun to meet. You
talked there about student debt. And luckily myself, I dropped out of school, so I don't have really any student debt, but I know people who I grew up with who have, hundreds of thousands of dollars of student debt. Are you seeing right now that it's worth it for people to get into that amount of debt to go to school? Or what do you say is like the alternative or the right path to take with that? Because we have a young audience who watches us who might be thinking, it's just too expensive for me.
We just launched a major full-on documentary that is on Amazon Prime, and several 100,000 people have already viewed it, called Borrowed Future, about the student loan debacle in North America today. It's an epic failure. It is a serious, serious problem. And lots of people are really trapped. It's really sad, but they can get out. We can show them how, but man, my recommendation would be to never go in. No, there's not a situation where I have ever recommended someone take out a student loan to go to school. And the reason is you can get an education without going to school. With that school, the school you can't afford. And the problem is we got people with $200,000 in student loan debt that, their degree is left-handed puppetry. This just doesn't work, So what we tell folks to do is if you're going to go to school, and a four-year education is a fine thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously get a degree in something that's usable and that the marketplace will pay you for, that there's a rate of return on your investment of time and of money. But first thing is pick a school you can afford. And that may mean you go to 2 years of junior college, and a lot of states that's free. Get that out of the way and then go to an in-state school, transfer all those credits and work while you're in school. But college choice, overpaying for the degree, is the number one cause of the student loan mess. Going to schools that people can't afford, getting degrees that don't matter. And then people are stuck with $100,000 or $200,000, and it's a mess. So, pick very, very carefully. I'm not one that says all higher education is bad. No, I believe in getting a degree. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's lots of trades you can do, too, that make a lot more than I mean, diesel mechanics making a whole lot more than somebody with a master's degree in social work.
Right. No, talk a little bit more about trade school. What do you think with that? Should people go into debt if they're getting trade school?
No, I'm not going to send you this is Dave Ramsey. We're not sending you in debt for anything, man. It's not. No. But I mean, I'm talking to young guys and gals that are welders. They're diesel mechanics. They're heat and air. They're setting themselves up in the trades. And my friend Mike Rowe is really excited about this trend we're seeing. Dirty Jobs guy, and he and I have had some great talks about this. It's exciting to see the trades come back alive because they are legitimate. And the whole higher education movement looked down upon the trades as if they weren't a valid way to live your life. And they are. It's just a matter of what you're called to. But we're not going to say all four-year degrees are not worth it. No, some of them are definitely worth it. Particularly if you get a bunch of scholarships and you go for free, you work your way through, you pay reasonable tuitions and those kinds of things. Yeah, go get a good business degree, good marketing degree. There's nothing, you're going to learn some stuff doing that.
When it comes to credit cards, I know you talk a lot about this, and I have a lot of friends who will say, I get credit cards, and I didn't even follow your advice. I have credit cards too, and now that I'm talking to you, I feel kind of bad about it, to be honest.
Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned.
Yeah, I've sinned. I didn't follow the baby steps. But, no, people will come and say, well, I have a credit card because then I get these points. Or, I need to have a credit card so that I can build up this credit so I can buy a house or buy a new car or, whatever it is. What is your recommendation when it comes to how people should use them or if they shouldn't even use them at all?
Well, there's a couple of different elements to your question there. It's a really good question. Element number one is the points that you get back. We studied 10,000 millionaires, the largest study of millionaires ever done. Airtight research, very detailed, very in-depth. And the number of millionaires that we talked to that said that they became millionaires because of using points on their credit cards was precisely zero. So it's absolutely bogus. It's just a rationalization and a justification. 78% of the airline miles that are collected on credit cards are never used. 8 out of 10. And yet people are spending their butt off and going, oh, but I got airline miles. Oh, but I got Discover points. Here's the thing. If you get a 1% back on your card, that means you get $1,000 for every $100,000 you spent. Tell me how this formula turns into wealth. It doesn't. So that's just that whole idea. That's just someone going, I need a reason so I can do whatever the flip I want to do, which is I want to buy stuff I can't afford with money I don't have to impress people I don't even really like. So that's just silliness. The second one is the credit score issue. And the banking industry has taught all of America to worship at the altar of the great FICO. Oh, great FICO, we bring you offerings of interest, so you will raise our number so we can buy other things. Now, let's think about what a credit score is. There's only one way you get a credit score and maintain it, borrowing money. It's 100% having to do with borrowing money. All of the algorithm is built on that. It's not built on net worth. It's not built on your income. It's only built on your interaction with debt. So if I want a high credit score, I go borrow money. Why? So that I have a high credit score. Why? So that I can borrow money. Why? So that I can have a high credit score. Why? So that I can borrow money. There's nothing in this equation that causes you to build wealth. Nothing whatsoever. You're building a lot of wealth, however, for a bank. So millionaires pay cash for everything except possibly a house, and you can buy a house with manual underwriting if you want a mortgage with zero credit score, with a zero credit score. Had a guy on the air 3 days ago that did that. He was in his 20s, and he had never borrowed money in his life. He was a financial peace baby. His parents went through our stuff years ago, never borrowed money, went to Churchill Mortgage, got a mortgage, manually underwriting, absolutely no credit score, same interest rate as everybody else, put it on a 15-year fixed, no trouble at all. But you can't do a lot of things without a credit card. I haven't had a credit score in 30 years, so there's certain things I can't do without that. But you know what? I'll make the trade because I'm not giving the bank all my stinking money.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting point there when you were just talking about, people are buying things that they don't need to impress people they don't like. Talk a little bit about that, a little bit deeper on that if you could, just about, maybe the culture of America and the way that people spend their money on things.
Well, I went broke in my 20s and lost everything. And in that unbelievably painful and scary, terrorizing experience, I lost, one of the things I lost that was a huge benefit to me was I lost my need to impress other people. And before that, I was really concerned about what other people thought about my car or my watch or my coat or whatever. I was really a pretty shallow, arrogant little twerp, really. And so, but when I went broke, it ground that out of me. And because a lot of the people that were supposed to be my friends, suddenly they didn't care about because we didn't have anything anymore. We're gone. It was gone. And, the Jaguar's gone, the house is gone, the trips to Hawaii are gone. And so, all of a sudden I looked like people didn't know what to do with that. And so when I quit caring what people thought, then I only made purchases that were good for me, my family, and our future. And when you narrow your purchases down to that, it changes your purchases. It changes what you're doing. And it doesn't mean you don't buy some nice things. I've got a really nice car, a couple of them right now. But I didn't buy any of those for what someone else thought. I bought them because I liked the car, and it was for me, and it was for my wife, And so we're going to enjoy that. But my need to impress somebody at a stoplight that I'll never meet is absolutely zero. And Americans spend $756 a month to impress somebody at a stoplight that they will never meet. I mean, we're crazy out here. We're just nuts. The thing on our coat, the thing on our whatever. Oh my goodness gracious! The prestige spending is bizarre. What we spend, what some people spend for a purse or the right color on the bottom of their high heel shoes. Wow, it's nuts. But it's fun. It's fun to watch. But the people that we meet that build wealth, one of the things that happens to them or that they just make a decision on is they want to love their life, not theirs, as Rachel Cruz says in her book.
I want to wrap it up here after what you just said. It's kind of a bigger question, but when you look at the way that people spend money and the way that America is, it seems in some ways America has a little bit of a sickness, a cultural problem. People can definitely become the millionaires like you were saying. I 100% agree with you. But if you had to look at the things happening with America financially, maybe when it comes, I know you like to say, don't spend like Congress. What would you kind of give as an antidote to the future of America for people to hear on this show today?
Well, it was true in my life, and it's been true with a whole bunch of people we've led away from overspending, away from debt, into wise spending and building some wealth, and into a situation where they can be outrageously generous. That is a mathematical journey for sure, but it is not merely a mathematical journey. And you won't take the mathematical journey unless you first and simultaneously take the spiritual journey with it. And so you've got to really decide what's real, what's important, where are we really going. And so part of what is driving this ridiculous level of consumption is just our emotional and spiritual shallowness. And so if we would all grow up just a little bit, including Dave, we would all be running this whole thing a whole lot better. And it really is a lack of maturity. Adults devise a plan and follow it. Children do what feels good.
That's exactly right, man. Well, thank you. And look, we got Dave Ramsey kids here too.
All right.
Which I don't have any kids. unfortunately. Someday soon, hopefully. But a lot of our staff here, they have kids, and they all use these books, and
awesome.
They're really excited about it. We have a program with PragerU for kids as well.
Yeah.
That I think would be awesome to get them involved with the Ramsey Kids stuff too.
Absolutely.
So how can people find out about your book, find out more about what you're doing, and just keeping updates on everything?
I appreciate that. RamseySolutions.com's got everything. You can find out about all the shows and the podcasts and everything else we're doing here. Certainly any of the books or classes that are taught and all that kind of stuff. And we'll help you out any way we can.
Fantastic. Well, Dave, it really means a lot that you came on today to discuss all this. I know it's a different type of audience, and I think they're really going to appreciate the things you had to say today, man. So I hope we can work together again soon.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for having me. I was honored to be with you.
Thanks, Dave.